this week we are going to talk about Djokovic appointing Murray as his new head coach. Maybe it's his head coach, or maybe it's just a coach for the Australian Open Summer. I'm not too sure. I've heard various things, but what do you think, Clint, on this new news?
Fan of both players. Love Andy Murray. Great strategist, as is Novak. Novak's been through a few coaches, coming to the end of his career, I guess. Andy Murray is a great asset to anyone's team. I don't think Djokovic needs him. I think he wants someone like a Grand Slam champion in his corner.
Yeah.
With that mindset too. I don't think he'll be able to talk over Andy. He won't be able to push him around. I just think it's a perfect sort of balance. A lot of people laugh at it. I think Andy is perfect for Novak. That's how I see it. And whilst he's got a coach, he's got a great hitting partner as well. And as I said, Murray's a great strategist. And anything that Novak is missing, Andy will find.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, like you said, he doesn't need him, but he wants someone, and I think that was one of the comments he said. Murray's been there, done that, and he highly respects him. They've been friends for a long time. I think they've probably had the best relationship out of the big four, let's say.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of respect there, and Andy's got a lot to give him mentally. Not that Novak needs it. I mean, the guy is probably the strongest mentally tough player we've seen ever. You know, the stuff that he has to put up with on court, where no one in the crowd is cheering for him, even if he's playing, you know, someone else that no one likes.
Yeah.
You know,
he's the villain.
He's always the villain, and he always manages just to fob it off and just gets on with it. Yeah, with a little bit of banter with the crowd, and some people don't like it, but how would you go if you went to Serbia, you know, and everyone's always chanting for this guy, and, you know, you felt a little intimidated, possibly, maybe you would also react similarly. I don't know.
I think the other thing about the appointment, which is good too, is that Andy is universally loved.
Yeah.
Novak isn't.
Yeah. By
having Andy in his corner, I think he will get a bit more love.
Yeah.
The camera will go to Andy in the crowd. I think it's nearly little mind games of Novak too, to have him in the corner.
He's picked well.
Yeah, you know what I mean? How do you have chosen Radak, Stepanek or something like that, where, you know, people are a bit iffy about, but Murray, not many people dislike him.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great choice.
If he had gone with Federer, I think the clash of the fans would have been epic. But I think you're right. This appointment of Murray, you know, everyone seems to love Murray. And I think in the last few years, people have really warmed towards Novak. I definitely have, and so have you.
Definitely.
You know, as a Federer fan, both of us Federer fans, I'm not a Federer. I was never a Nadal fan because Federer had the one-handed backhand, and I always gravitated the Sampras and Edberg, Pat Cash back in the day. They were my players, the one-handed backhand players, so Federer naturally was that next guy. So he was always against Djokovic, and especially once Djokovic started getting on top, you know, I think we all as Federer fans started getting a little bit shirty with that and couldn't really hack it, because Federer is that graceful, beautiful looking, you know, technically perfect player, so we think he's better.
Yeah.
And whilst I still think that's probably true, sorry all the Novak fans, but
statistically he's the best of all time.
That's right. Novak has proven that it's not about looking the most beautiful. And in saying that, when I look back at matches, I really start appreciating a lot more how Novak plays. And he's not just this defensive guy.
No.
He still belts the ball, and technically he's fantastic. You know, not as aesthetically pleasing as Federer, but no one is. You know, so yeah.
I think it's not necessarily a marketing ploy by Novak, but it's a great balanced one in regards to his tennis, outside of tennis, and on court.
Yeah.
You know, the crowds will see Andy, the crowds love Andy.
Yeah.
And if anything, if he's going for that Wimbledon record next year, having Andy, British,
perfect,
two-time champion, he's going to get that support.
Yeah. And I think that's Novak's number one goal right now, is to get that 25th Grand Slam. And, you know, that little bit extra motivation with Murray being there by his side, I think that's another element. You know, not that I think he's getting a bit sort of stale, but just something new, you know, like getting a new racket. You pep up a little bit and feel a bit good about yourself. And he's got this guy you know, along for the ride, and they get along great, just a bit of motivation, and most likely, most definitely, a lot of good advice, you know. And Novak has proven he probably can do it on his own, like Federer did for a lot of his career there. He probably played some of his best tennis on his own.
I just think also having a friendly face, a friend in his camp.
Yep.
You know, like Goran, you know, they were friendly, but him and Andy are friends.
That's right.
You know,
Yeah.
and there is not a lot of players that are close to Novak. You can say Kyrgios is, but that's bullshit.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's for the cameras there,
yeah.
but I'm sure they are now. They just flipped the switch and just got over the beef. But a lot of that's probably because Novak's quite welcoming. You know, as much as people want to hate him,
Yeah.
I think the guy is quite welcoming to others. And Kyrgios had a lot of negativity towards him, yet Novak was able just to flip it around and say, hey mate, you know, we're all good. And now they get along seemingly quite well, which
Yeah.
I almost thought it would have been quite funny if Kyrgios was in his corner as his coach for a little while he's injured,
Yeah.
but probably not a good call
No.
for Novak, you know.
Kyrgios coaching anyone is not a good call.
No. Well, he did say that he would like to get into coaching after tennis, so we'll see how that goes.
Hard pass.
It'd be pretty funny, I think. It'd be a roller coaster for whoever's getting coached by him. But yeah, so overall, I think we both agree Andy is a great acquisition for Novak there. Different reasons, you know, towards it, and just motivation and just something new, a friendly face. Great advice, a guy that's been there, he respects. There's just so many variables there that, you know, I'm hoping that Novak can get that 25th.
Me too.
You know, as someone that's always cheered against the guy,
Yeah.
I was hoping he was going to win, you know, this year, sorry, that 25th. I was rooting for him, and I'd never done that before because Federer was playing and all the rest of it. But, you know, Novak really has, you know, shown that he's quite a funny guy, and
Absolutely.
you know,
He's got personality.
and he's got personality. He's quite personable, you know, and he's definitely a family man, as we are, as most of you guys out there probably are as well. I can respect how the guy, you know, has his family there all the time, and
Family's not there for the cameras. The family's there for him.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, and his interaction with his kids. You know, I know people didn't like the whole violin thing,
yeah.
you know, but that was apparently for his daughter. He was looking straight at his daughter every time. I didn't have a problem with that. I thought it was pretty cool, pretty cute. You know, I've got two daughters, and you know, if I was that good at tennis, I'd probably do something that silly on court as well, just so they know that I'm thinking of them, even though I'm on centre court kicking ass. The hate is always going to be there with the greats, you know.
Absolutely.
You know, Michael Jordan, Federer, Ali, Tiger Woods, every
Nobody
great.
hates a sportsman any better than an Australian.
That's us Aussies. We really get on the hate train, you know. And mate, we are the same. We've done it. We're still doing it. You know, we all do it. I think you just got to admit that we do it and just embrace it.
Yeah.
But we also get on that winning train as well.
Absolutely.
Like Novak certainly is. So, yeah, overall, great move from Novak, we think.